Hi, it's Mrs. Rodriguez with another lesson video. Today we're going to be looking at multiplying fractions. But before we start multiplying fractions, there's a couple of vocabulary words that I want to go over with you. So the first one is product. Anytime you see the word product, product means the answer to a multiplication problem. Okay, so if you get a problem that says find the product of a half and 1/5, that means they want you to multiply together a half and 1/5. The other word I want to go over is of. Of in mathematics means to multiply. So if you get something like what is 1/2 of 1/5, that means they want you to multiply the two fractions together as well. Okay? So today I'm going to show you two methods for multiplying fractions. The first method is drawing a diagram so you can kind of see what's going on when we multiply fractions. And the other one is the traditional straightforward, just multiplying across. So let's go ahead and get started. So in our first example, we have the 1/2 times 1/5. Here I have my rectangle and it's been divided into 5 parts, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if I were to have this rectangle represent 1/5, then that means one of these needs to be colored in. Okay? So the 1/5 is red. Okay? Now we need to look at the half. So if I'm multiplying this by a half, that means I'm going to take my rectangle and I'm going to split it down the middle in half. Okay, oops, that's a little crooked. Okay, and now I'm going to take blue to represent the 1/2. So now my 1/2 is going 1, 2, so you can see what I'm referring to as a half. And now I'm going to color in that section blue. Okay, so blue was my 1/2. Now, where those two colors weave together, where they overlap, that's going to be my numerator. So they overlap right here in this one box. So that means my numerator is going to be 1. And then for my denominator, we have to count how many spaces we have in this rectangle, how many parts are in this rectangle now, because since we've divided it, we no longer just have 5 parts, we have more than 5. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's going to be 1 out of 10, and that's going to be my answer. Okay? Your numerator is where both colors overlap. And they only overlap in that first part of my rectangle. And then your denominator is you have to recount how many parts in your rectangle you now have since you've split up the rectangle. And we get 1/10. Okay? Now we could have done the same problem by using the traditional multiply across. Now you'll notice that 1/10, well, 1 times 1 equals 1, and 2 times 5 equals 10. So yeah, when we say multiply across, we literally mean multiply across. Multiply the numbers next to each other. So you're going to end up 1 times 1 over 2 times 5. Okay, and you get 1/10. You multiply these guys together. Super simple. All right, let's try another one. What is 2/3 of 4/5? So once again, we're going to use the diagram. And now we have 4/5. So you'll see my rectangle has been divided into 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 out of 5 are colored in, so I'm going to go ahead and color in 4 out of 5. Okay, now for the other side I have 2/3. So I need to split up this rectangle into thirds. So I'm going to go ahead, draw one line here, and draw another line here. Okay, I've now, oops, that went a little crooked. I've now divided my rectangle into thirds. 2 out of 3 are colored in, so I'm going to choose my second color, and I'm going to color in 2 out of 3 of them. And remember, here's my 3 parts, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to color in the first 2. Okay, and then we just need to remember we're looking for the parts of the rectangle that have both colors in it, where both colors overlap. And it looks like they're overlapping all within here. Okay, all that inside is purple and green overlapped. So that's going to be my numerator. So we had 2/3 times 4/5, and we ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the overlapping colors. And then if we add the rest of them, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, that we know it's 10 out of 15 is, or I'm sorry, 8, not 10. 8 out of 15 is the answer to this multiplication problem. Okay, so we got 8 with the overlapping colors, and we have 15 new parts now that we've separated the rectangle in thirds. Okay, so that's going to be my answer, 8/15. And once again, we could have just multiplied straight across. So we have 2 times 4 and then 3 times 5, and we multiply going across, and we get 8/15. Okay? Now, there's one more thing I want to show you with your multiplication, your fraction multiplication journey. Okay? And it's cross simplification. Now, these numbers that I'm going to be using are relatively small, but I want to demonstrate how this works so that if you have bigger numbers, hopefully it can make your life easier. So here's an example. What is 5/6 of 3/10? Well, we already know that the of means multiplication. We know we can multiply across. I'm not going to draw the diagram. I prefer just to multiply across. But we can do something like that's called cross simplification to make our lives a little easier. And the way it works is you look at the numbers across from each other. Okay? And you see, can I simplify the numbers across from each other? So let's do 6 and 3 first. I know that 3 goes into 3 one time. And I know 3 can go into 6 2 times. So I've just simplified those numbers to 1 and 2. Now I can look at the other side and I have 5 and 10. Once again, 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into 10 2 times, and I get a 1 and a 2 again. Now I can go ahead and multiply across. And they're much smaller numbers to multiply, and I end up with 1/4 as my answer. Okay, and it simplifies the problem for you. Now, if you hadn't have done that, you would have gotten 15 over 60, right? 5 times 3 is 15, 6 times 10 is 60. But these are much bigger numbers, and then you'd have to go through and divide them. So 5 goes into 15, 5 goes into 60, 5 goes into 15 3 times, 5 goes into 60 12 times, and then you'd have to simplify again. And I know that 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into into 12 4 times, and we end up with 1/4. So you could still do it the other way, but as you can see, it saves you time in simplifying if you do cross simplification up front first. Also, it can save time with multiplying if you can get those numbers smaller to start with. Okay, let's do another example with cross simplification. Here we have what is 2/9 of 3/5. So once again, I'm going to look at the numbers across from each other, and I'm going to see if they can simplify. So let's look at the 9 and the 3. Well, 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 9 3 times. So I've changed those numbers to 1 and 3. Now I look at the two other numbers, 2 and 5. Well, 2 doesn't go into 5 evenly, 5 doesn't go into 2 evenly, and 5's a prime number. So there's nothing to simplify. Okay, so we leave those alone. So this is going to turn into 2 times 1 over 3 times 5. Okay, we're still multiplying across. Okay, except now it's going to be 2 times the 1 and 3 times the 5. So we get an answer of 2 times 1 is 2, and 3 times 5 is 15, and we get 2 out of 15. Once again, if you hadn't cross simplified, you would have still gotten the same thing. So just to show you, if I would have just straight cross simplified, 2 times 3 is 6, 9 times 5 is 45. Then I would have to know that 3 goes into both 6 and 45, and I would end up with 2 out of 15 again. But once again, those numbers are bigger, and maybe you don't know that 45 is divisible by 3. So if you cross simplify up front, it gives you much smaller numbers to work with that are easier to handle, and it'll simplify your fraction for you. Okay? So that's how to multiply fractions and how to cross simplify. Okay? Remember, you're just multiplying across, but if you can simplify those numbers across from each other first, it'll make your life easier. And as always, if you have any questions or need additional help, feel free to make an appointment with me for office hours. Hope you have a great day. Bye.